How many thousands of hours on the shore at Galway, in the drizzle off the back of the sea, on the sodden sands, did we spend hurling together, father and son, pucking the sliotar one to another, hour in, hour out, year in, year out? How many thousands of times, old man, did you strike a high ball for your young son to crouch, to dart, to leap, to pluck the ball one-handed out of the climbing air? Hi and good morning, I'm Paddy, and thanks for joining me again on another live poetry reading. You just heard a short poem by Paul Durcan, and if you stay with me, I'll be reading other inspirational poems along with one or two of my own. The poem I've just read is called The One-Armed Crucifixion, first published in Life is a Dream, 40 Years Reading Poems, 1967 to 2007 by Paul Durcan. Paul is one of my favourite poets in Ireland, writes some beautiful stuff from the heart. And as well as this giving me my daily intake of GEA stuff, the title should give you an indication that we are in a sacred place, one of two in my locality, and I will take you on a short visit to both of them today. Welcome back to the Shannon Estuary, and our first stop this morning is Lislochton Abbey, in the next parish to our own Ballylongford, the final resting place of my great-grandparents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, and a host of extended family members. Today I remember two members of the family line, Ellen Harty, my great-grandmother, and Ellen Scanlon, my grandmother, all local girls who saw harsh and difficult days for sure. Lislochton Abbey, as you can see around me, is a beautiful medieval Franciscan friary and national monument, located here beside Salleen Pier on the Shannon Estuary. Founded for the Franciscans back in 1475 by the Kerry chieftain O'Connor Kerry from nearby Carrigafoyle Castle. It oozes of historical significance, spirituality, a real sacred place. But let me read what Kerry's iconic poet and writer, himself a Ballyman, says about Lislochton Abbey. Lislochton Abbey by Brendan Kennelly. Flashing starlings twist and turn in the sky above my head, while in Lislochton Abbey lie the packed, anticipating dead. Silent generations here that long have bent the knee endow the Shannon with the grace of reaching to the sea. Ignoring green Lislochton, where subtle shadows pass through shattered altars, broken walls, the blood of martyrs in the grass. Into the ground that winters well and blossoms soon or late, preserving patient multitudes who are content to wait. Restless at the gate, I turn away, groping towards what can't be said. I know but little of the birds, the river, and the dead. Beautiful poem by Brendan Kennelly on Lislochton Abbey. I'm going to now go on and read a poem that I wrote myself about Lislochton Abbey, and the inspiration for this particular poem came when my good friend and co-author of the first book, Olive Stack, sent me a Christmas card one time with Lislochton Abbey and the image of Lislochton on it. The poem is entitled Spirits Bidding the Time of Day, and it talks about the image. I remember writing it at the time, and I think it just took me about 10 minutes to get the ideas down on paper once I saw the image. Spirits bidding the time of day for Olive Stack. Lislochton is a consecrated place, an ancestral burial ground where martyred holy men lived and prayed in times past. Your brushstrokes now tell of spirits alive and at home today. A restful people pausing, centuries of history here, arranged casket upon casket, coffin on top of coffin, good communities, fitting tightly side by side, snugly together. The blood in my veins flows faster now, knowing what you craft captures an aura of eternal hope among the living, our future dead. Earth and time chant their even song in a choir where your trees sway and bend, your greens, blues and greys bring an extension to our being, a time without end. I'm going to show you that image now of Lislochton that actually created the poem. So now if you come with me, and we'll take you to our next resting place about 2 miles further in towards Tarbert on the coast road, Kilnocton Church and Graveyard. We've now moved back into Kilnocton Church and Graveyard here in Tarbert, and again on the banks of the Shannon, just ahead of me there. In the wonderful publication by the Tarbert Historical and Heritage Society, St Brendan's Church of Ireland, Tarbert 1814 to 2014, 200 years of change, our local historian and Professor Declan Downey described Kilnocton, the Church of Nocton, as the ancient and official name of the parish of Tarbert. The present medieval structure stands on the site of an earlier Killeen or oratory and may have been built by Nocton, a disciple of the early Christian patriarch of this region, Saint Senan, and that was around 488 to 544 AD, and he worked out of Scattery Island, an island right out in the middle of the Shannon estuary, and one I highly recommend. Beautiful place to visit and full of history. So again, we are in a very special place, a holy place, a spiritual oasis, and I would like to honour all those whose final resting place is here in Kilnocton. My first poem is a poem by Seamus Heaney, and I think it's appropriate for the time we're in and indeed the place we're in. When all the others were away at Mass, by Seamus Heaney. When all the others were away at Mass, I was all hers as we peeled potatoes. They broke the silence, let fall one by one like soldier weeping off the soldering iron. Cold comforts set between us, things to share, gleaming in a bucket of clean water. And again let fall little pleasant splashes from each other's work will bring us to our senses. So while the parish priest at our bedside went hammer and tongs at the prayers for the dying, and some were responding and some crying, I remember her head bent towards my head, her breath in mine, our fluent dipping knives, never closer the whole rest of our lives. Nice poem by Seamus Heaney. I'm going to read you one of my own now, and it's entitled New Year's Eve, and it was written in memory of a good friend of mine, Thomas Linden, who died here, died in Tarbert at the young age of 33 in 1999. He's buried here. it talks really about a number of lovely customs that still exist in our parish, one in particular. Some new ones, like a soccer match that was played here for a while before things like insurance and other issues got in the way. And it was played amongst locals and among ourselves on New Year's Eve. The great custom I talk about is what we call locally here as beating in the new year and beating out the old. And it's about spirits coming back to the event, maybe just for the crack. New Year's Eve in memory of Thomas Linden, and I'm particularly reciting it this morning for Thomas's mother and father, Kathleen and Richie, who live just a stone's throw across the field here. My spirit flies freely through the crisp, clear blue sky. New Year's Eve in my home place, I wouldn't miss it for the world. Today I played in a team of all-stars, GAA patrons, soccer fans, dissenters, just like it used to be in the Horse Park, our hallowed ground of not so long ago. Should we play other sports is of little consequence to me now. If Christy sings in the square tonight, we would all hum along at midnight. All our footballers played one game, no offside, no off-the-ball tackles allowed. Shouts of, down the line, far post, let it go early, all in a cacophony of musical disharmony. The pride, the parish, the passion, even my celestial team fears to tread. Those funny names are still the same: Yank, Skin, Shawnee, Pa, Mike, Matthew, Kylie. Dedicated disciples, each with a little history, if for now without any symmetry. All in their multicoloured bibs, just kicking ball, old soccer, old scores set aside by teammates who stand tall. You may not know of life's real struggles. Sorry, I'll start that again. It kind of gets me every time I recite this poem. You who may not know of life's real struggles, that complex battle with the self, alas, may just have missed the point, just like the penalty completely. So that's that. And as I promised last week, I'm going to read a poem from Tenerife for and from my friend Anne-Marie. She put her thoughts together on living with COVID on the island of Tenerife. She has been in complete lockdown there for 7 weeks, getting out now, and indeed the Canary Islands are doing well. And I just noticed a report during the week that actually Lanzarote was one of the safest and blessed places in Spain at the moment. So I'm going to, this poem evolved over a number of recent conversations, because Anne-Marie, when she heard my first, I think, poetry recital, contacted me, and then this is her and mine. I suppose it's unusual in a sense that it's a sort of a joint effort. So this is for Anne-Marie Davis, who is away from her native Dublin, a Northside girl from Beaumont. And as I said, it's a bit unusual that two of us would be involved in putting this together. But here goes anyway. And so it stormed in like a raging bull, unstoppable. Gate crashed my comfort zone, my world, without a thought or consequence for humanity. Its mission unclear, victims preferred casually. Questions repeatedly asked go unanswered. Lives lost without a hand-holding, loving hug. Watching out behind Tenerife's closed doors, daily lockdowns into an anxious new hope. Kids begin to play again together. Ring a ring, Couples stroll renewed, ding-a-ling, ding-a-ling. Elders feel loved again. Kindness and the breeze come together in the square at Los Cristianos. Reborn, renewed, and still alive, 100 days on. Cycling warily along within our well-pedalled selves. So there's, as I said, that's our recital, our poetry readings for today. I think it is our 6th actually. If you do feel that there's a certain poet you'd like to hear me read, please comment in the box below. And if you liked this live poetry reading, please feel free to share it with your friends. We'll be back again, same time next week. And just before I go, as always, I mention my charity, the Rise Foundation, www.therisefoundation.ie. So, slán agus beannacht.